So let's start from the basics, okay? The game is making a comeback with this new release, the new Kickstarter, featuring some unique additions. Also, very pleased that it reached the funding goal in just 5 hours, so congratulations. Could you tell our readers, our viewers, what these new features are?
Right, so I think the biggest feature is the addition of the Oracle inspiration cards. So before, the Magus used dice rolls to create the spell names for the events, but now the player can use cards to divine the spell's name, the nature of the ones and people that they meet, and also as inspiration to the writing. There's also a lot of really cool extras with the pledges, such as animal pins, bookmarks, and our latest stretch goal will introduce a whole new set of events set in a magical city.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Magus is a title meant to be played in solo, incorporating intriguing dynamics focused on journal writing. What inspired you to create a game with these characteristics?
So I think a really big inspiration for me was The Thousand-Year-Old Vampire by Tim Hutchings. So playing and reading that game has been really a revelatory experience. It helped me imagine the possibilities of solo journaling games, and I kind of wanted to capture that magic and set in different contexts and different mechanics with the Magus.
Thank you for the answer. A silly but important question for me about the design of the new book. The old edition, the previous edition, has this kind of longilinious style, okay? The new one, as I saw on the Kickstarter, has a sort of book edition, okay? More smaller. Why did you decide to go in that way, both of you?
Okay, maybe I can answer to this one. And the Italian edition was the first and only one official physical edition of Magus, and the story behind the game is quite curious because Bianca created it with PowerPoint, so with a very strange software for publishing, because it was not meant for publishing and for printing it, And so when I work at the translation with this very different setting, and so we came up with this panoramic book that it's very interesting, it's very different, and sometimes collectors still have something to argue about it because it doesn't feel right on the shelves, but it's very distinctive. But now we have to work with the card deck, and we have to think about international shipping, and so a more traditional format fits well these new needs for the new edition.
Thank you very much. Talking about the design of the game, the aesthetic style of Magus is quite unique. What inspired you most for this particular aesthetic?
What actually inspired me was a combination of both the Thousand-Year-Old Vampire's pastiche of different media on the pages, and also the very outlandish and loud style of Morkborg. So with Morkborg, each thread is its own visual design. It has its own rules that it breaks in later pages. So I thought it was also an interesting design challenge to take that kind of very design heavy, very customized layout design and apply it in a solo journaling game using PowerPoint.
Thank you. Very interesting. I have a question that is a little bit tricky because it's very deep in the design of the game, the mechanic of the game. What was the motivation and the process that led you to decide to conclude the storyline of the game with seven events? Is there a specific mechanic, is a specific things, maybe something that bring you to 7 and then stop?
Right. So I think for that, I wanted people to have a tightly paced story in their journal and games. So I wanted there to be a sense of increasing challenge, followed by a denouement, examining what they've done throughout their journey. So that's why I thought it would be good to have a distinct cutoff for it to give rise to a definite climax that they would look forward to.
About the Oracle deck, okay, the new things that is coming in this new edition. How does it work in Magus, and it works only in that game or in others?
The Oracle works by creating new snippets of spell names. So when you create a spell in the Magus, you draw cards and combine the words contained in it to create the spell's name. You can flip the card around, you can reorder it, and that will give you a lot of possibilities for what the spell could possibly be. For encounters, you can also use the prompts on the card to give you choices on what kind of creatures you meet or what kind of mood the encounter takes place in. For example, do you meet a frog or do you meet a magician? You get to pick from the card that you draw. The Magus is not the only game that you can use with the Oracle. We are eventually publishing rules so that it can coexist alongside my other games such as Ark and the Marvelous Children of Inagori. And of course, its prompts and its illustration can also be used in any other game that requires any inspiration.
Yeah, in our chat on Telegram, we talk about the Momatoes, like a way to link all our games in order to have a different experience with them. So you can think about creating the Magus with the solo game in order to have a unique enemy and antagonist for the heroes in Ark, and all the story maybe you can play in the setting created by the Marvel Children of Inagori. There is the new game by Bianca, and we're going to translate it together with the new edition of Magus. So you can play all the games together in order to have a world building game, then a solo game to create your enemy, one of the antagonists, and then with Ark you can use the Oracle to have to create the Doom or the plot you need in order to have a full story to play with your friend. That's the idea.
It's very cool. Actually, it's very, very cool. Okay, I have just last two questions. The first one is about this one. The themes explored in this particular experience mainly revolve around magic and the introspection of the magician. Does the Magus also aim to be a title that encourages players to engage in personal reflections outside of the game?
Right, so in the past playtests that we've seen, there's definitely a lot of introspection that goes beyond what is in the fiction. Sometimes it goes into introspection about their own values, whether these align with the Magus, whether there is tension there in between what the Magus is capable of doing and what the character or what the person feels is right for the character to do.
Thank you. The last question is kind of personal. There is anything you want to tell us about a run you have done into Magus? Something that you find you've done this way or that way, or you had this kind of strange or unique approach?
Yeah, I think one of the more interesting runs I've had was when creating a spell of basically cloning a creature I had met, and then in the end having to choose between sacrificing the original creature or the clone that I've made, who has also been in its own way very dear companion to the Magus. So I think that kind of interesting dilemma tends to rise naturally from the narrative, which makes it really enjoyable, at least for me.
Thank you.
And to us at NessunDove, it's very interesting also the story around the game, because it's kind of strange, this cooperation from Italy to Philippines. We are very far away, but we met because of this game, and so I think it's an interesting story about the power of stories and the power of role playing, because I think you start playing because you want to share a story with your friend, you want to create something together. And in this case, we find a new friend, a very distant friend, playing and creating, and so we are very grateful for this chance, and we are very happy to collaborate with Bianca and to have found such a curious friendship, looking for just a game,
Thank you very much. Thank you both of you for your time.
Thank you, Simone.